Welcome to the Friends of FEADies podcast, brought to you by Feed Canada, our funding partner, ISED, and founding partner, the Saskatchewan Food Centre. This show is all about celebrating the incredible journeys of female entrepreneurs in the agri-food and food manufacturing sector. We're here to dish out the secrets of success and serve up a side of inspiration along the way. We are the Feed program where dreams are made, businesses are born, and the agri-food world is your oyster. Let's dine together.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Friends of FEADies podcast. My name is Lindsay Toth, and I'm your host. I have a background in marketing and graphic design and experience working in the food and beverage industry, working for brands such as Great Western Brewing and Three Farmers Foods. So I'm very excited to speak to more entrepreneurs in the agri-food ecosystem and learn a little bit more about some of these amazing small businesses. Today, I was so lucky to be able to chat with Jennifer Kohut. She is the creator and owner of Jenny's Delectables, which is a gourmet stuffed baked potato product. Jennifer has a really interesting story in the sense that she started about 7-8 years ago in the farmer's market, and all the amazing growth she's experienced in her company has come from sampling her product and customer demand to have access to that product based on the success of that sampling. So I'm very excited to share the conversation that I had with Jennifer, and I think that you'll enjoy it and learn a lot. So thank you for tuning in and enjoy. So thank you so much for joining me on the Friends of FEADies podcast. Can you please just introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself, Jennifer, and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Jennifer Kohut, proud owner of Jenny's Delectables. We specialize in gourmet stuffed potatoes and have been serving our delicious products since 2016. And our journey started in the farmers markets of Central Alberta. And our products are stocked in over 600 stores across Canada now.
Wow. That's amazing. So you've had just like unprecedented growth with how quickly and how large everything has grown. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so our expansion and success, I guess, over time, we secured partnerships with major retailers like Sobeys and Co-op when we first started. We had to build out our health and safety plan, which would be our HACCP, to be able to move into the Sobeys. So that took another year on top of that. And, today we employ over 30 staff. Like I mentioned before, we're in over 600 stores across Canada. The growth has been pretty remarkable. But hasn't come without its challenges. We have our own distribution hub, our own fleet of trucks now that deliver direct to store across Canada. We have our hydroponic greenhouse that is almost 100% built out to help with shortages in the supply chain area. We have our second location as well, which is our offices, our freezer, our distribution, and we are building out our second kitchen out of that space as well. And I would say that one piece of advice I'd give is to stay true to your vision, but be flexible in your approach. And adaptability is key in the ever-changing landscape of being an entrepreneur. And surround yourself with a supportive team. And I couldn't have done it without my team as well.
How long actually have you been in business?
7 years, going into our 8th year this spring.
Okay, so all of this in 7 years. That's incredible.
With COVID in there as well, so.
Yeah, it's wild. Can you kind of take us back to the beginning and just kind of give us a little bit of an understanding of how you got started?
Mm-hmm. So I actually worked in the oil and gas sector for about 13 years. I was a farm girl. I grew up on the farm, so I was blessed to be a part of the agriculture industry and family at that time. When there was a downturn in the industry in the oil and gas, this is where Jenny's Delectables was founded. It was just supposed to be a little summer gig. and it took off. I would sell out in markets within 1 to 2 hours. People would line up before the market even started. I was in about 16 markets come the end of the market season, that first year of business. And before you knew it, I had Co-op knocking on my door, Sobeys knocking on my door. Everything was produced out of my home. And with, my kids in sports and, just having the business in the family home, that was a struggle and a lot of fun at the same time. I had freezers all over my house. I think that me and the kids basically lived upstairs or in the basement for a couple of years there, where the business kind of took over the rest of the house. I remember, filling my kitchen oven full of huge sacks of potatoes, and the potatoes would hit, the burner at the top of the oven. And I think I replaced those outlets, 3-4 times a year in my oven. So it was just so funny watching, everything was done by hand, and a lot of it still is today. And just looking back, it's pretty remarkable where we've come. And it took about a year to get our first property where we leased out and built our first kitchen out of there. And we needed to do that to be able to go into the grocery stores. And then once that was built out, we moved into Co-op. A year later, we had to expand our health and safety, which was our HACCP, to be able to move into Sobeys. And before you knew it, we're in basically all major grocery store chains across 5 provinces, including Sobeys, Safeway, IGA, Co-op, Calgary Co-op Federated, Loblaws, Save on Foods, Freeze Brothers, and they've all been a great support in our growth by also supporting local businesses. And now we have our fleet of 5 trucks that also deliver across Canada. We have our greenhouse, both facilities now, and about just over 30 staff.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I just wanted to a little bit further into the past there, just so that people could kind of really understand just how much scale has happened in such a short time. I'm curious, is there like a moment in your mind where you kind of like knew it was going from, oh, this is a temporary thing, to being like, oh, there's might really be something here? Did you have a moment like that at all?
Well, I think I had a few of those. I would say my very first farmer's market, I remember the hubby telling me, Jen, if you just do $200 or $300, that's going to be wonderful. I went out and did my first market, and I sold out my first market. And I think I came home with just over $600. And we were both like, wow, we got something here. And as I moved into more farmers markets, I remember being at Millerville Farmers Market. It was my first market at that certain event. And my cash bag wasn't big enough to hold all the cash, and it's just falling out of my pockets, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and it was such an incredible experience. And then having customers, when they tried our product for the first time, because we sample in these markets, their faces just lit up. And I wish I had recordings of some of those customers, because they're truly what pushed me to get through the hard times, is knowing people's love for my product. And that was huge for me. And and then having Co-op and Sobeys approach me in the first year of business, and farmers markets that you have a wait list, but because I had something so unique and exciting, I bypassed that whole wait list, and they got me in as soon as I applied for it. And I think that's a big, those are big reasons why I felt like we did have something here. And plus, on top of it, it's all natural and fresh ingredients. We don't use any frozen products in, our ingredients to make our frozen stuffed potatoes per se, right? And just just having a love for food and knowing the love being put into our product. I was confident in what was being put into people's homes and on the plates of those families. And I think that right from the beginning, I knew I had something.
Yeah, sounds like it. I love that. A good problem to have, that your pockets are so overflowing with money and your bank is overflowing with money. Great problem to have. So would you say then, because you mentioned sampling just really briefly there.
Yeah.
So would you say that was kind of the reason that you were able to just like sell out so quickly? Do you think it was like once people tasted it, that was kind of what hooked them?
Absolutely. Sampling, I find, is so critical and so important to having a food business when you're taking it out. And, I look at the farmers markets as honestly free advertising. It pays for itself, and it allows your product to get in the mouths of tens of thousands of customers in a season. And people want to sample. People want to know what they're about to bring home. There's so many times where I've been in a grocery store and I've bought a product that is boxed up and it has a photo on there, and you take it home and you cook it up or you pull it out of the package and you're so disappointed. And with my product, everything is clear packaging. You're able to see it. It's all the fresh, natural ingredients, and just putting that spoonful in the mouths of those customers, the way that they would light up. Before you knew it, people were talking about it, and people were coming to the markets, or people were lining up to get it, or we'd have lineups and people would be walking by and they'd be like, what's going on over there? And they would just jump in line because they just wanted to be a part of whatever was happening. And then they would taste it, and it's almost like they got this like greedy factor where they're like, I have to have one of everything, or 10 of one, or and before you knew it, I would just be sold out. But it was so awesome. I just loved it.
It sounds like, there's a few people with some FOMO who just wanted to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to just skate over this, but you mentioned you had, I believe you said Sobeys come to you, and
Co-op, Calgary Co-op.
Perfect. Okay, like I bet there's a lot of people listening and they're trying to get into Sobeys, they're trying to get into Co-op. So like, do you have any advice for them, or like even just to kind of speak to that a little bit? Like, I think that's a really unique place to be in, where they're coming and knocking on your door.
Mm-hmm. So it's a little difficult for me because I actually have many vendors over the years contact me and asked me, how they can get into Co-op or Sobeys. And, the unique thing with us is we've always been approached by them, whether it's, Loblaws, Save on Foods, Co-op, any of the grocery store chains, they've always knocked on our door. So whether it's them being in the farmers markets and tasting the product or trying it and taking it home, or word of mouth. I know with Sobeys, I was given an award by them, but what they were saying was our product was the #1 local product in the history of Sobeys that has ever been requested by their stores. But to answer your question, if I was to give advice, it is to sample in those farmers markets, get your product out there and in the mouths of others. Make sure you have a really nice, package to present to places like Co-op. And I do know when you do try to approach one of them to get your product in their stores, a lot of the time, you can just drop it off at the front desk, or sometimes they're more difficult to get a hold of if you're the one trying to approach them. So just, believe in your product, have a great package and presentation for them, and be personable, have confidence in your product, and make sure that you have, a set plan and you're able to grow your business, successfully, both financially, and you have your your other, suppliers already in hand, so you're able to just have that whole package together when you go to them.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Like, you want to go in kind of being the expert in your own product and how things are going to move forward with it. Is that kind of? Yeah. So, we've been talking about like the amazing growth you've had, but we were also talking the other day about how you've also been kind of limited in what you've been able to grow over the last little bit. So can you kind of talk about that as well? Just where kind of some of those limitations come from and how that maybe is affecting you in the business?
Yeah. So, growth, being a small business or a new business, or growing even into a medium-sized business, is quite difficult. We've definitely, had our struggles. One thing being in the food sector, is we deal with local. So we are actually, which I'm very proud to say, 100% local in all of our ingredients and our supplies. And being part of the agriculture industry, a lot of these farmers, their produce or anything that they grow is already taken up by a lot of more larger manufacturers. So, for example, potatoes are our number one ingredient that we use. We have to rely on, finding a farmer that will sell us potatoes direct, and otherwise your costs just keep going up and up to have those third parties. So you want to go direct to farmer, in my case anyways. And but a lot of the time they already have contracts with larger manufacturers like McCain's, like McDonald's, who all promote that they support local and they give back to the community and all of that. But there's no room for businesses like mine to kind of get in and grow as well, because there's really nothing left. They're securing the last little bit of potatoes that would normally go to donation or hogs or like wherever, which is outside of McCain's or McDonald's contract, if they have a little bit more yield for that year. And it's taken a lot to have contracts with these farmers and them start to plant for us and seed for us. You also have to let these farmers know 4 to 6 months in advance, before they start seeding, what your projection for that year is. And when you go into contract and you promise a certain amount, you have to use it or pay for it, right? And then on the farmer's end, they might have weather supply or weather issues, or overpromise and not have that much yield come the end of the season as well. And we had that actually happen about 2 years ago, where we went into contract and he didn't have enough, and all of a sudden we have 4 months until new crop comes in, and where are we going to find potatoes? No one had potatoes, so we had to look outside of Canada for that, which also brings your costs up. So there's a lot of struggle there, and I think that there should be more attention also coming from government, not to get into politics here, but to help support up and coming businesses like this as well, because it does make things difficult. And then, you have the growth of getting your product to the store. You're going to use a third-party distributor, or you're going to distribute yourselves. And I mean, that all costs money as well. And then there's, cash flow, where, bless all these stores, that these grocery store chains that support local, and they want to, help you get into their stores, and they support that. But their systems aren't set up where, they pay you on delivery, or they pay you within 1 to 2 weeks. A lot of them, their terms are still no different than, someone like Heinz, or, that have this massive amount of cash flow that can cover, 30, 60, 90 days of not being paid. So that's a struggle as well, especially when you're growing business and you're purchasing, new equipment and hiring staff, and, all those costs or costs add up, and it's difficult. So to have, 3 to 6 months of that cash flow in your bank is very important. Very, very important.
Yeah, very, very well said. And I guess kind of to pivot a little bit, but kind of speak about balance here. How do you kind of try and work to do your best to balance your personal life with the demands of running a business like this?
Well, balancing personal life and business is definitely a challenge, but I find that setting boundaries and prioritizing is key. Family is non-negotiable for me. I have, 2 children and my partner as well. And, they're in sports, elite sports as well, that take you traveling and on the road. And it's, 5 to 7 days a week. You need that time for your family, but you also need that time for yourself. You can get sick, you can tire yourself out, and, your business will hurt from that as well as your family. So you do need to prioritize. And one of the key things for me that I have learned over the years is when you go to hire out for certain positions within your business, you want to make sure that you're hiring someone that can grow with your business and your business not outgrow them. Because you can have committed staff, that show up every day and on time, but they struggle in those areas with that growth, and you're loyal to them, right? But you also need, someone managing your business as well, and you not having to micromanage everything. And so those have been struggles, for us there. And I definitely tell people about that advice, when they are out hiring. Make sure that you have someone who's qualified or someone who can, learn and grow with you, even if they're new to the business or the industry.
Yeah, great. And you had mentioned your partner, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your partner also works with you in the business?
Yes. So he actually had a construction company for about 25 years, and that was handed down from his father. And once the business started taking off and growing as fast as it did, I was using up a lot of his time, which was also taking him away from the construction industry. And he was actually already kind of looking at selling his business. And so he really took on to Jenny's Delectables and everything we were doing here. So he sold his business and then he jumped in full time with me here. And, we just work so hand in hand together, and he's, to me, a huge asset to the business. And, it's funny because we work together every day, all day, and then we go home and we're together as well. And I'm sure that doesn't work for many people. It definitely has its struggles, ups and downs, but wouldn't have it any other way. We work so well together.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. So with that, do you have to kind of set some boundaries, like at home, we're not talking business, or does that kind of just weave in and out of life?
We try to set some of those boundaries, but our business also runs 24 hours a day. So it's difficult to not come home and still talk about the business, but we definitely make the time for our children and for ourselves, and we have dinner together. We go to sports together. We have our date nights. We have our children date nights as well. And I think that we manage it well. Sometimes it gets ahead of us and we have to kind of step back again and reevaluate and, come back to reality of, what we should be doing here and what's healthy for our family and for the business. The first I would say probably the first 5 years of the business, we didn't go on any vacations, and we should have. but we didn't. And now, we have the, great staff in place and in the departments, and, they're able to manage the business while we are away. So we're able to, get away for whether it's the sports or just, a 5 or 7 day vacation. So that's nice as well.
That's great. Yeah, trying to, again, it's like always kind of that balancing act that I think everyone struggles with a little bit. So
yeah. Well, right now he's actually on a vacation with his daughter. It's her 16th birthday. And so he took her to Disney for 4 days. But I'm here. So we do split off like that as well. We'll take, a couple of the kids or one of the kids and kind of have that one-on-one time as well. And it works nice because one person's at the office and then the other one's, with one of the kids and having a little vacation.
Yeah, that's nice. Some dedicated quality time, parent-child wise too.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, kind of touching back into everything with the business. And we've talked a little bit about lessons and that sort of thing, but is there kind of like a big one that sticks out to you as like a lesson you've kind of learned through running your business or since you've started your business?
I'm going to go back to the cash flow. That's a huge lesson for us. It's still one that we juggle and manage today. Any given day, we can have $250,000 in overdue receivables, and that's past the 30-day, term mark. And your suppliers need to be paid as well. And in the beginning, when for example, we go buy some local bacon, well, every week that might have cost us $500 back then. And so, $2,000 over a month with, your 30-day terms. But now it's, $30,000 a week. And so when they're not being paid, and they're also local businesses and smaller businesses or medium size, they rely on that cash flow as well. So it's a real struggle in the industry. And I guess one of the things too is just not to grow too fast. COVID was a big hit for a lot of people. And even though we grew in COVID, it still, really hurt us as well. So, just don't grow too fast. Make sure that you have your projections and your everything in place to, help support that. And,
Yeah, that's great. Very, very practical. There's so many pieces and stuff, and sometimes we don't want to necessarily always focus in on how important those pieces can be, or just getting paid on time, how much that affects everyone. But if you were to start all over again, starting day one, is there anything you wish you knew before you started, or is there any kind of piece of advice you would have given yourself? Let's say maybe outside of obviously the cash flow thing we just talked about, anything like that?
Well, that's a real loaded question.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think that there's a ton of things I would change, and I think that would be almost like a whole new podcast. But I don't know here. I think that I would have grown a little bit slower. Even though I would like to think that we manage our growth well, there's so many obstacles outside of our control that affect that. I also think that going back to making sure that, we're hiring staff that can grow with the business is important. Hiring is very costly as well. Turnover is costly. I think that, and although, I can actually say we have staff that have been with us for over 4 years, we do treat them really well, and they do love us, both the business and individually, and they've, bought into Jenny's Delectables and they believe in it. So I'm proud to say that. But I would say go direct to farmer, being in the food industry, try and get your business out of having third-party suppliers and those middlemen, because that will save you lots of costs. Make sure to, I would, review all of our small costs, whether it's, registrations for, certain platforms or your electricity. Don't just take the bill and be like, okay, this is what it's going to be every month. Review it every 6 months, because there are major cost savings as well. So I think it's the cost savings part of things that I've learned, because we've built a business right from ground up. So really every obstacle that can be thrown at you, we've dealt with and we've pivoted. And the times where you want to give up, you're like, no, this is where people give up, and we're gonna continue on. Also negotiating better terms, with your clients. So instead of, a 30-day term, have a 90-day term. And some of them will, some of them understand that as well. So that helps with your cash flow, because whoever's late for you, you still have the cash flow now. And there's no one upset or hurting because of it either. So just some of those things, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. So obviously, like, things have been really successful, and I just was curious, like, what do you kind of define as success in your business? And it can be like, I guess, just like a high level concept, or literally, like, are there metrics that you have in place that you use to measure, like, what is success for you guys?
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, there's no matrix, but to me, success is having your customers and your staff believe in your product. Because if they don't, they're not going to care. You're not going to make sales, or your business isn't going to last very long. You're not going to be able to retain staff. Having a product that you also believe in, I think, is successful. Back to the supporting local, I think people want to support local, and that's important to them. Having certain values as well. I mean, we give back to the community every year, and that's just something that I value. And so, when your customers see you helping feed the homeless, or, the elderly, helping out with the elderly, or, one of the big ones that we support are children with disabilities. And they see that by them purchasing our product and supporting us, we're also giving back to the community. And that's important to people. So to me, that's success as well. Also having everyone just, contacting you, wanting your product, or the emails that come in weekly of these great stories of the first time, they've tried our product or bought it, or heard, had it at someone else's dinner table, and then they went out and bought it, and they just thank us for having it. To me, that's success as well. And then getting through the obstacles that we go through. And I mean, there's obstacles honestly on a daily basis, right? And getting through those and coming out successful on top, to me, that's success as well. So yeah,
absolutely. Like, what's coming up next for you guys? Is there anything you can talk about, or is there anything big in the works?
Yeah, so we're building out our second production kitchen right now. That should be done by the end of this year. It's not easy. There's equipment delays, just everything involved. So it does take a little while too, but we're very excited. We're almost completed our state-of-the-art hydroponic greenhouse as well, which we're very excited about. We are moving into Atlantic Canada. We did a little test run over the Christmas months. That was a big eye-opener for us. It was double the stores that we're in. It was insane over Christmas time, and Christmas time is our busy month already. But yeah, so that's going to be restarting again, hopefully this summer. And we have also been approached by Kroger's USA and Costco, both in Canada and the USA. So that's a little bit, down the road, but I think we're coming close to that. So we also have some new product innovation. Very, very excited about that. It's all in development phase right now. Very innovative, and we think it's just going to be so exciting, and people are just going to go nuts over these new products. So we're excited for the development to complete and get that in the grocery stores. So that should be this year here as well. So yeah.
Amazing. And it sounds like you've been bang on with the flavors and the things you've done already and stuff. So I'm sure people hearing that are very excited to hear that there's some new things coming. Kind of before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you just some get to know you personal, just like fun little rapid fire questions. Kendra did that with my episode of the podcast, and it was nice because it's like just a easy little fun get to know you thing. So are you more of a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Dog or a cat person?
Neither.
Ooh. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's the last TV show you binge watched?
Good question. Lost.
Oh. And what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Cook dinner and sit with my family and hear how their day went.
Great. Do you have a favorite hobby?
Hiking.
Nice. And last one, what's something that you want to do that's on your bucket list?
Travel the world.
No small item. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's great. Well, so thank you for doing that. Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us on the Friends of FEADies podcast. Before we go, is there a website or social media or anything that you want to direct listeners to if they want to catch up with you and Jenny's Delectables?
Yeah, so our website is www.jennysdelectables.com. We also have our Facebook page under Jenny's Delectables, and our other social media accounts we're kind of just building on right now, so there's not a huge lot of activity. That's something actually we've lacked on is the marketing aspect of the business, just because most times we can't keep up to demand anyways, so we try and veer off from a lot of the marketing. But yeah, I mean, they can hit us up on Instagram as well.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and it was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Lindsay. You take care. Thanks for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you to our listeners for indulging your entrepreneurial appetite with this episode of Friends of FEADies, brought to you by Feed Canada, our funding partner ISET, and founding partner, the Saskatchewan Food Centre. If anything we have discussed today has ignited an entrepreneurial fire within you, but you're not quite sure how to get started, or you're craving mentorship and coaching to help grow your business, please reach out to us at feed.ca. That's FEAD.ca. Connect with us on social media. We're sprinkled all over the digital landscape, and our team is ready to provide the mentorship and coaching you need to flourish. At Feed, we're here to empower women in the agri-food industry, so don't hesitate to reach out to us to join our vibrant community of foodpreneurs. Until next time, bake those dreams into reality, stay hungry for success, and continue to nourish your entrepreneurial spirit with Feed. Bon appetit.